The market will crash again. We don't know when it's going to happen, but it will. And so you don't want to be on the defensive and get blindsided when the market does crash. Instead, you want to be on the offensive. That way you can prepare and not just survive, but thrive through the next market crash. What's up, everybody? I am Jasprit Singh from the minoritymindset.com, where money minds rethink rich. Every single time a market crashes, it doesn't matter which market crash we're talking about, two things happen. First, people are blindsided and they lose a lot of money. And second, people always start praying and hoping that this never happens again. Now, while history doesn't exactly repeat itself, it does rhyme. And so what you want to do is you want to be in a position where you're starting to prepare for the next market crash right now. That way you can not just survive, but thrive through the next market crash. Because the interesting thing about market crashes is you see more millionaires created out of market crashes than any other time. Look, I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but the market will crash again. I have no idea when it's going to happen, and everybody has a prediction as to what's going to cause it, like all this quantitative easing, free money, high unemployment. But the market will crash, we don't know when, and so you need to be in a position where now you're preparing for it. That way you are ready, that way you can survive and thrive through the next market crash. My mind has to systematize things, which is why I love outlines so much, which is why if you want to know how to survive and thrive through the next market crash, there are 5 things that you need to understand and know, which is what I'm going to be going through in this video. But before I get into that, I need you to do me a quick favor and smash that thumbs up button below. I've always been kind of like a tough guy. I played football in high school and I try to lift every single day, but I also really like tulips. Tulips are my favorite flower because I like the way they look. But the interesting thing about tulips is they're also a symbol for financial education. Tulips are originally from Turkey. And when Turkish merchants brought tulips to the Netherlands, the Dutch fell in love. And tulips kind of became like this symbol of luxury because they were this really rare flower and obviously they're really beautiful. And then what happened is you saw people in the Netherlands start to buy tulips, not just because they're a nice flower, but because people wanted to own them as a status symbol. And so then people started to buy up the price of tulips, and you saw the price of tulips started to rise. Now the Dutch farmers and merchants were getting rich buying tulips because they would buy tulips one day, and then when they would go around to sell the tulips, they would be able to sell it for so much more because there were so many people that wanted to buy tulips and not enough tulips out there. Everybody wanted tulips in their garden because it was a real status symbol, and if you had tulips, it meant you were rich. And so now these farmers and merchants were getting so rich that the investors started to get excited. They thought, if the farmers and merchants can get rich by buying tulips, why can't we do it too? So then the investors started buying up tulips, not to sell them in the open market or to plant them, but because they saw them as a great investment. Now here's the thing, if you're an investor, you don't want to be the person going to auctions or growing tulips or doing any of that. You just want to be in the business of managing money. So the investors then started creating tulip derivatives. That way they didn't have to own or take care of these actual tulip bulbs. They could just trade these pieces of paper. So now investors started creating these tulip derivatives, and lots of people had the ability to now go out and buy tulips on paper because now you can invest in tulip bulbs. That's when tulip prices really started to skyrocket, because now you had everybody trying to buy tulips, not to plant in the front yard, but so you could get rich, because tulips were going up in price so fast. It got to the point where people were literally selling their houses or refinancing their houses. That way they could go out and buy one tulip bulb because tulip prices were going up so fast and everybody was getting rich buying tulips. Now you have tulip bulbs costing as much as a house, and you have these farmers and merchants sitting on all these tulip bulbs thinking, wow, we are rich. Let's sell some of these tulip bulbs. That way we can cash in on all of our profits. So the farmers held an auction to sell out their tulip bulbs, and guess what? No one showed up. Nobody actually wanted to buy the tulips, and nobody really wanted to pay that much money to own a tulip bulb. People were buying tulips not to own tulips, but just so they could get rich quick. When the farmers started to realize that, they had to cut the prices of the tulip bulbs significantly so somebody would actually buy it, and that's when the price of tulip bulbs crashed, and now everybody that had refinanced their homes or sold their homes to buy a tulip bulb were left holding nothing except a pretty flower. This is a true story. It was called tulip mania, and it happened in the mid 1600s, and this was the first recorded financial bubble in history. After that financial bubble, we've seen market crashes happen again and again and again, not with tulips, but with other assets, because people will always be greedy, people will always be looking for speculative investments, and people will always look for a way to get rich quick. When you have all 3 of these things that are fueled now by cheap and easy debt, that's how bubbles are created. And once a bubble hits a peak where now people are not willing to buy more of this thing, That's what causes the bubble to burst, and now you have a bubble boom and bust. That's why the first thing you gotta do if you wanna be able to survive or thrive through the next market crash is understand market crashes. So every asset class and our economy goes through cycles, kind of like this, where you have boom phases and bust phases, but over time, you see the overall kind of baseline of this thing go up. So if you're talking about the stock market, you see stock prices go up and down and up and down and up and down, but over time, you see the value of the stock market go up. When people talk about market crashes, the most common thing that they're talking about is the stock market, and you see these type of stock market booms and busts happen every 8 to 15 years or so. What happens is people start buying assets and the economy grows and companies grow, and then the price of these assets start to go up, and that's when the media comes out and they say that this asset price, the stock cannot stop growing and it's booming, and this gets more people excited. Then people start coming and buying more, and now the media gets even more excited talking about how everybody is getting rich, and now the speculators get so excited and everyone's talking about how they're getting rich, and so now people are going into debt talking about all these stocks and assets that they're buying, and now you're going on your Uber drive and your Uber driver's telling you about how they refinance their home, that way they can put their money in the market, and this causes asset prices to soar even more, and eventually you hit a breaking point where asset prices go up way too high, and once that happens, people stop buying the stock or they stop buying this asset, and this causes prices to cool down. Once things start to come down a little bit, now the media comes out and they talk about how everyone's losing money and how the stock is starting to struggle and how a lot of people are starting to sell, and this causes prices to come down even more. So now people start panicking because you had all these people buying these prices right before the top, and then things start to come down, especially if you're leveraged. Now you're really in the red, and so people start panic selling. This causes the media to come out talking about how everybody is losing money and why if you want to survive you have to sell everything now, and this causes prices to go down even more. And then you have people coming out thinking, wow, this price of this asset or the stock is really low. It's below what I think it's worth. And so now people start to come back in and they start to buy, and that's when you see the cycle start all over again. Warren Buffett has a great quote on this. He says that bubbles happen because people see their neighbor who is dumber than they are get rich, and so they want to buy in too. When you see a stock in the news talking about how the stock is starting to go up, you might be a little bit skeptical, but then you start to hear about all of your friends buying the stock and making all this money, and you're like, well, if they're making money, I might as well do it too. So that's when you come in and you buy, and you might not even know why you're buying it. You're just buying the stock because everybody else is doing it and it looks like it's going up, and so now you buy in, and then you might see the stock go up a little bit and you're thinking, wow, if I had just leveraged up my bet a little bit more, I would be able to make so much more money. So now you being the genius you are, you leverage up your bet through the help of margin or debt, and now you own all this stock, and you might not know why you're investing in it, but you're making money, and then eventually things get a little bit too hot, and that's when things correct, and now you're in the red, and now you're panic selling. That's why the very first thing you gotta do before you can do anything else is you gotta understand how the game works, because the majority of people are playing in this game, but they're playing on the losing side. They come in and they buy here out of greed, and then they panic and they sell here because they start to worry and they start to lose money. And so you gotta understand how the game works, that way you can win in the game. The second thing you gotta do is you gotta be prepared, because market crashes can happen at huge extremes. You can have like 2008 economic depressions, or you can have smaller economic crashes. The way you do that is just by preparing your own personal finances. That way you are ready for anything. First thing you gotta do is you gotta have an emergency savings fund. If the economy crashes and your company goes under and you don't have a job for a little while, you need to have some cash that you can fall back on, that way you're prepared. So you wanna have something like 3 to 6 months worth of expenses saved in a savings account that's there liquid, just in case something bad happens, that way you can fall back on that. Second thing you want to do is pay off some of your consumer debt. This might be your car or your credit card debt. If you have this consumer debt, this is debt on things that are not making you any money, pay it off. Once you lay your financial foundation, then you want to get a little bit on the offensive by diversifying your assets or having different income streams. That way, if something bad was to happen, you are not financially devastated. Maybe you have different income streams like real estate rental income and dividend income instead of just your job. That way, if something were to happen to your job, you do have some other income to fall back on. And you can have different types of assets. Maybe you have some stock assets. Maybe you have some hard assets. Maybe you have some cryptocurrency. That way, if things were to go bad, bad your money isn't tied up in just one asset class, because if you see the stock market crash, your other assets might be okay. But the interesting thing about diversification is when the majority of people talk about diversification, they're really not diversified at all. They say something like, yeah, I'm diversified. I got some of my money in blue chip stocks, and I got some emerging economy ETFs, and I got some growth ETFs, so I'm diversified. But all of your money is just within one asset class. It's all in stocks, paper assets. And so if the stock market crashes, all of your stocks, all of your funds go down. If we're talking about being really truly diversified, that means having your money in different asset classes, having some of your money in stocks, paper assets, having some hard assets like real estate, having some commodities like gold and silver, and now maybe even having some cryptocurrency. The whole point of this type of diversification is really to protect you from any type of scenario, because the next thing you gotta understand is 3, when the market crashes, you gotta remember your goal. The reason why you really gotta know your goal and your strategy, because one stock might be a great investment for one person, but that same stock might look like a losing investment to another person. And so if I came to you and I asked you, is Tesla a good investment? The answer is, it depends. What's your strategy? What's your goal? Are you a value investor? In which case you're looking for a beat up and undervalued company that you can buy and hold for the long term where the company turns around. If that's the case, then maybe not. But if you're a momentum trader and you're looking to make some money quickly, then this could be a great investment if you can come and buy and sell it and make money. If you are a long-term value investor and you're investing your money in the stock market for the long term because you want to build long-term wealth, and you come in and you buy here, and this investment that you buy comes down to here, then you don't want to be panic selling as long as you believe in the underlying value of your investment. The only thing that you want to do is come in and buy more. I'll talk more about that in just a minute, because you have a long-term horizon. You're not trying to buy and sell your stock in 6 months or a year, because you are trying to invest in this company or this ETF for the long term. But if you're a trader and you want to make money quickly and you buy here and you see the stock come here, then you got to have your risk parameters in. At what point do you sell? Because if you see your stock coming down, then you might want to just sell quickly, because you don't know, maybe the market is just correcting or maybe it's crashing, but you want to make sure you have your risk parameters in there because you're trying to invest for the short term. And so if you come in and you're like, all right, I'm buying here and I want to be a long-term value investor and I believe in the underlying value of this company or this ETF, and then you start to see this company or this fund come down, and now 6 months later you're like, you know what, I'm just going to cash out right now, that way I can cut my losses. Well, now you're kind of switching sides. What is your strategy? Are you a trader or are you a long-term value investor? Because if you still believe in the long-term value of this company, you're just not happy with the price, then you are switching sides. That's why you got to start by understanding your goal and knowing what your strategy is, because if you're investing for the long term, then you got to understand market crashes are a part of the game. And speaking over the long term, what we've seen happen time and time again is that over the long term, you see the US economy, strong companies, and the stock market continue to go up. Now, that doesn't mean that it always continually goes up in a straight line. We see it kind of go through these waves like this, but over the long term, the market corrects, and so do strong companies. And so you got to understand, if you are a long-term investor, all you got to do is ride it out. If anything, come in and buy more. That's why the fourth thing you got to understand is don't panic. If you come in and you buy the stock right here, let's assume you buy it for $100 a share, and then it goes up to here at $200 a share and you don't sell it, it might look like you made $100, but you don't actually make any money until you sell your stock. So on paper you made $100, but you haven't actually made any money. And then let's assume that the market crashes and the price of the stock comes down to $50. At this point, it looks like you have lost $50 because you put in $100 and now you're down 50%. But again, you don't actually lose any money until you sell. This is where you have to be able to manage your emotions. And it sounds silly, but the people that can manage their emotions can make the most money in the stock market, because now you're thinking financially, not emotionally. And when things come down, you remember your strategy and you remember why you bought. And so now you keep the long-term horizon in mind. Now look, sometimes this can be really hard, because when you own a share in a company and all you see is this company going lower and lower and lower and lower, you might think it's the end of the world. But one thing that you have to remember is that a company's stock is different than the actual company. And so you got to remember, if the company is doing okay, this is your research. So if you are a long-term investor, you have to be doing this research. If you see that this company is doing okay and they're still growing and they're able to grow and turn around, then this might be a company you want to continue holding on to. But you also don't want to just go down with the ship, because if this company goes bankrupt, you lose everything. So the first thing you got to do is you never want to invest more money than you can lose. That's why trading on margin has its own risks. So you got to first understand how much money you're putting in. Are you okay losing this money? Second is you got to understand your strategy. If you're a trader and you start losing money, you got to have your risk parameters. At what point do you sell? If you are a value investor, if you're investing for the long term, you got to understand what factors are you paying attention to. That way, if this company starts to go under, when are you going to sell? This is where the best thing that you can do is remember what your original goal was. Is it long-term investing or short-term trading, and make your decisions based off of the research on that. These 4 things that I just talked about are going to help you survive through a market crash better than the vast majority of people. Now, if you really want to thrive through a market crash, you got to come in and number 5, buy. When you see a market crash happen, it doesn't matter what asset class we're talking about, whether it's cryptocurrency or stocks or real estate. When you start to see these asset prices crash, the people that come in and they buy are the ones that come out as winners over the long term, because now you get to buy a great asset at a discounted price because everybody is panic selling, and this is when you want to come in and buy. But there's some tricky parts to this, because some people are trying to be traders, right? And if you're trying to trade and you have a short-term time span and you come in and buy here, well, 3 months later, the stock price might be there and now you're losing even more money. This is where you got to, again, understand your strategy and have your parameters in place. I like investing for the long term. So if the stock price is coming down here, I'm going to come in and buy. And then if it comes down here, I'm going to buy more. And if it comes here, I'm going to buy more. So I like to buy in phases. I call this drip investing, where when asset prices start to come down, I start buying. And as they come down more, I buy even more aggressively. There's a couple things that I do to make this happen. Now, before I tell you that, I do got to let you know that investing has risks. You are never guaranteed to make money when you invest. You might even lose money. So make sure you always do your own due diligence and never blindly listen to a random guy on YouTube. But the first thing I got to do is I got to keep some cash on the side ready to invest. And so you got to understand that cash is an investment position. Now, your cash is going to get eaten away by inflation, but I always have some cash ready to invest just in case. The second thing is, when it comes to this drip buying schedule, I like to buy in phases. And the way I do that is, first, I have my own list of investments that I want to own. So if we're talking about the stock market, I have a list of stocks and ETFs that I want to own. And these are things that I believe in, and I already done this research. Now, if these prices start to come down, that's when I start to buy. And as they go lower, I buy more aggressively. And so this might be every 10 to 15% the stock or ETF goes down. That's when I come in and I buy more aggressively. So I'm paying attention to when these prices come down, and when they do, that's when I buy. The lower they go, the more I buy. Market crashes are kind of like a Black Friday sale for investors, because you can come in and buy great assets at a discounted price. The thing that you got to remember is it is impossible to try to perfectly predict when the bottom is. So it's impossible to try to time the market. The people that tried to time the market during the 2020 market crash missed it, and then they saw a lot of people come in and buy, and they missed that rally. And so what you got to remember is it's impossible to try to time the market. And if you do try to time the market, it's like trying to catch a falling knife. And so it's impossible to know how far down it's going to go and how long it's going to take for the market to turn back around. And so if you are investing during this time, you got to have faith, and you got to remember it takes time and patience for things to turn around, because there's no way to predict when this rise is going to happen again. But the reason why you see so many millionaires born during a market crash is because this allows people to come in and buy a ton of assets at a discounted price. And then when things do turn around, now you have these asset owners who see the prices of their assets skyrocket, because now the economy is just turning around, and you have these people that are owning huge amounts of shares or assets because they were able to buy at a huge discount. If you enjoyed this video, here's the video on ETFs and index funds that I think you'll love. And while you're at it, join our free finance and business newsletter. And as always, keep hustling. This one requires more work, because now you're not just managing and monitoring one stock, you got to manage and monitor a whole portfolio of your stocks. Or option 3 is you can pay a small fee and then you can invest in a fund like a mutual fund or